so I think there's enough damage to internals to let that this ain't working anymore. Greetings, Kings. Bones Maloney here. The evolution of drones has caused the modern battlefield and the way wars and conflicts are fought to change. Drones are not an inherently new concept. The US military has been using them for years to conduct ISR operations, that's intelligence, reconnaissance, and surveillance. But in recent years, in the past 5-10 years, we have seen the proliferation of smaller Groups 1 and Group 2 sized drones being used to do all sorts of different tasks on the battlefield. Back in the later days of the GWOT, the enemy was using commercially available drones to drop munitions upon Allied convoys and personnel. They'd usually use something like a DJI Mavic or Phantom, a quadcopter style drone that was previously used a lot to conduct reconnaissance, like the larger drones the US military had, like the Predator and the Reaper, that they had then started to fit armament and munitions to. The enemy saw that and started doing the same thing on a smaller scale, strapping things like 60mm mortars, grenades, or improvised explosive devices to be dropped on forces. You saw that a lot in the end of the GWOT. Since then, we've seen, especially in Ukraine, but also in the Middle East as well and other conflicts, the proliferation of cheap, mass-produced, or commercially available drones to conduct offensive strikes. This elevation or this evolution of drones in warfare has driven all sorts of new technology, TTPs, and really shaped how conflicts and maneuver is done on a modern battle space. No longer are drones large, expensive, and a very high-level asset. They can be employed by any unit almost at any time and used in conjunction with thermal or night vision capabilities, as well as small munitions to deliver either indirect fire or drop munitions or FPV style strike a target directly, kamikaze style one-way trip, and produce massive casualties on a force. Like any new technology in combat, there's going to be countermeasures for drones, and we've seen a lot of them have varying success in the modern battle space. We of course have the implementation of obstacles, so, the large nets or things that create an airspace that is difficult for a drone to operate or conduct direct munition drops or direct impacts on armored vehicles or friendly personnel locations. You also see the presence of drone busters, a technology that is essentially a handheld pistol-esque or rifle-esque platform that shoots out a radio wave or a signal that disrupts or disables the drone's ability to maneuver. You're starting to also see jammers, normally worn by a specific person in a squad or in a unit, that is designed to emit a large signal in all directions with omnidirectional antennas to disrupt drones and cut them from their operator and make it so if they get too close, they are unable to maneuver anymore, and usually they down themselves if they're working effectively. There's also in-place systems for area and base defense that you see the Israeli military, NATO forces, all using these large systems that are designed to shoot drones or other sorts of munitions like rockets, missiles, and mortars, artillery rounds. Those are also used to combat drones as well. Things like detection systems are also an option. They will not directly disrupt the drone, but they can scan radio waves and give you an early warning before you are able to hear or see a drone that there's one in the area. All of these systems, though, they have their own time, place, and drawbacks. Of course, you can't put in placements and obstacles for drones everywhere. It is just not feasibly possible, and you're unable to put those in an area and use those to protect a maneuver element. Drone busters also have their own issues. They're an electronic system, they require batteries, they require a startup time, and they are not always effective on all drones and are not always immediately effective. And they're very useful against reconnaissance drones and some drop drones, especially some drop drones being piloted by less experienced pilots, but they are very ineffective against, or not nearly as effective against, FPV drones, which we're seeing a lot of, those sort of kamikaze one-way trip drones, and usually armed with some sort of explosive that fly directly into their target and detonate. The drone buster system just is not well equipped for that, and since it's an electronic system, it often disrupts communication equipment, GPS signals, and can even damage those pieces of equipment. if they're too close or if they are being used nearby the drone buster system. Jammers are also a relatively blanket countermeasure. They have to be worn, they're usually pretty large, they require batteries, they don't have an unlimited amount of uptime, they need to be swapped out, some of them get really hot and they need to be turned off to cool. They also run into the same issues of an electronic warfare system where they do not work on all drones, specifically like the fiber optic drones that do not need a signal between the operator and the drone itself. It is literally wired directly to the operator via thin cable, and those cannot be jammed at all. Same issue with the drone buster, but a little worse. These systems can also interfere with communications, meaning you have to turn your radios off or not use them, or things like ATAC, GPS signals can be disrupted by a jammer. In-place systems, of course, also only operate and are effective in the areas that they cover. They cannot be pushed out with a maneuver element or on the ground. They are simply there for base defense. And detection systems, those are great. They are another electronic system, but they're not doing anything about the drone. They are simply giving you a warning that there is one flying on a specific frequency in the range that it can detect. Now you have to go deconflict that with friendlies, see if there's any friendly drones that could be operating in the area, that could be what you're detecting, and that takes time to deconflict those things. There is a severe lack of a simple, reliable, robust, always ready, man-portable, non-electronic warfare system that works at a small squad or platoon size element level that can be managed by 1 to 2 personnel easily without the use of a vehicle, that will effectively counter drones on the platoon maneuver level or small unit level. One of the possible solutions for the drone threat on the modern battlefield to a small unit is a service member or a personnel armed with a 12-gauge shotgun. A lot of units are doing this in Ukraine. There's a lot of reports coming out of units that on their patrols do not feel comfortable or confident in their safety with the drone threat level that they face without having 1 to 2 personnel armed with a 12-gauge shotgun. There is both modern and anecdotal evidence of the 12-gauge shotgun being used in similar roles. Back during World War I, World War II, there was talk of service members using 12-gauge shotguns to disrupt and throw enemy-thrown grenades back out of their trench before they landed. And you're seeing a lot of use of shotguns and other direct fire systems over in Ukraine right now, being the biggest example of the implementation of a 12-gauge to damage or disrupt the flight pattern of drones, protecting boots on the ground soldiers. So today we're going to talk about the counter drone specialist, equipped with a 12-gauge shotgun, how that would work, how effective would that be, and how you would set up your kit to integrate seamlessly into a maneuver element to provide them the assets of drone protection in a way that will not detract from their force. Let's get into it. All right.
Lock in.
Lock the fuck in. All right, Kings. We are here at the Diamond Indoor Trap Range. Big thank you to those homies for letting me get in here and autistically spurg about drones and shooting them. So we have 2 drones here today that we are going to take some shots at. This one is the DJI Phantom 3, and currently in the air with our super professional, very skilled, highest tier possible, highest pedigree drone operator is currently calibrating it so he can do some crazy passes on us. He's flying the DJI Phantom 1. So these are the 2 drones that we picked up based on budget, and also some of the most common drones that are used commercially available as FPV or drop drones. So it's very common to see these drones outfitted with some type of clamp on the bottom that holds an ordnance, something like a grenade or a mortar. They will commonly fly these, the enemy will commonly fly these over a position and drop them straight down onto their intended target. We're seeing less and less of that. Drones are very vulnerable when they're in the air, loitering, trying to line up that perfect drop. So we see a lot more of the FPV style drones where they have a point detonation munition, some sort of improvised explosive, or often a mortar round strapped to the bottom of these, and they just straight fly them into their target. And that's what we're seeing a lot more of, and is a lot more common and a lot more dangerous and harder to hit in the modern battlefield. So for Ordnance, we have an F1 style grenade. You may have seen these in Tarkov. Very common Russian pineapple style fragmenting grenade. These are common with drop drones or smaller FPV drones. This is a lighter munition that some of the really small Group 1 style drones, those would be the smallest style drones, can still carry. And these have a kill radius of 5 meters. So if this detonates within 5 meters of you, you are more likely than not going to be committing the room temperature challenge on the ground. And it has an approximately 15-meter wounding radius, meaning if it explodes or detonates within 15 meters of you, you are more likely than not going to suffer debilitating injuries. We also have the 60mm mortar. So these are very common, or 61mm mortar. Very common ordnance for the FPV drones because they have the point detonation fuse on them. They have a kill radius of around 12 meters, give or take, depending on the type and the delivery system, and a wounding radius of around 30 meters. So again, 12 meters, you're most likely dead. 30 meters, you're most likely injured. So these are the two munition mock-ups that we are using today that are going to be carrying. These are just 3D printed. They're made by Phantom Printing. I'll put a link to his channel and to his webpage in the description. He printed these for me basically for free. He just charged me cost of the material. He's a really great dude, a friend of mine I've known for a while. We have about 75 meters worth of distance. And we are going to be starting from the 75-meter mark and shooting at the drone in a few different scenarios and moving closer as needed depending on how the hits are and if the drones survive. The ammunition we're going to be using is only what is rated for this indoor range. So we have number 8 shot and number 7 shot. 12 gauge, number 7 shot and number 8 shot are they are target loads by nature, but to compensate for that, we are looking for hits on the drone. This is not necessarily a munition test. It is a shooter and a weapon system test. Can an adept shooter shoot a drone realistically with a practically shotgun for the task? And if the drone does get damaged or doesn't survive, I mean, that's an even better indicator that you don't need very high-end, purpose-driven ammunition to actually get good effects on the drones. And we'll see at what distance that becomes important.
Seems like the test is more so, the efficacy of being able to get hits on target than the effect on target. Yeah,
it's already pretty well established that turkey shot, tungsten rounds, high velocity ammunition, number 6, number 4 BB rounds, all will down a drone, and even out to 50, 100 meters. That's pretty well accepted at this point, but we're gonna see how difficult is it actually to get those hits, and do you actually need that ammunition? So for today's test, we're gonna have a variety of different ranges between about 75 meters and 50 meters from us to the drone. And the 3 scenarios we have are going to be a lateral movement. So the drone is going to be all the way at the end of the range, and it is going to be moving left to right laterally across the shooter's line of sight. That is going to simulate as if you are the drone defender, you are armed with the weapon system, and you identify a drone that is moving to engage a target that is not you, that is not near you. So the real world examples of this would be if you are there on patrol, moving back to a column of vehicles that you have staged, and the drone has identified the vehicles and is moving to have effects on target on the vehicles. Or maybe you're in a large organization, a large group, and the drone is not targeting you, but someone else or some other sort of equipment. That is going to be, we're going to start there, and that's going to be the most difficult scenario. We're going to start at the 75-meter yards, or 75-meter location, and it's going to have the most left to right movement. It's going to be the most difficult for the shooter to get impacts on the drone. So we are at the 75-yard line at this point. I am armed with the drone buster of choice, the Mossberg JM940 Pro, and we are going to be shooting our first scenario, which is the lateral left to right movement. The drone is probably a little closer than it will be in the scenario, but this is the FOV that we are going to be dealing with. I'm going to be loaded up with this Champion 120 feet per second, 7.5 shot, and we're just going to be loading a few shots into it, taking a shot at our drone. It is moving laterally at this point, and we're gonna see if we can hit it. And we are also, of course, in full kit here. No warm up. We gotta take this thing out before it blows up a friendly convoy. So I'm gonna wait to come back. We'll try a couple more and we'll see what the damage looks like. So we have a hit here. We've got a couple hits here as well. Looks like just because of how light that shot is, it's mostly just glancing off, but I do see, yeah, hits here on the body, one here on the battery case, one here on the arm. Looks like one grazed off here as well. Looks like we have some scuffs on the Ordnance, one right here. So we are definitely getting periodic hits. You know, we took maybe 10-ish shots at this thing, and we've got, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One on the rotor there. 11 potentially, 12. So each shot, even at this distance, we're still getting 1 to 2 pellets on target. And that was over at all the way back at 70 meters with this shotgun, which has a 24-inch barrel and a modified choke. So that's really promising. That means we are still getting good hits at that range. That's just not enough mass with this type of loading to do much to the drone at those distances, but we are getting hits, so that's really promising. Now we're gonna use same setup, but we're gonna move up to about the approximately 50 meter, probably like 55 yard line, and do the same thing, same movement, lateral movement back and forth, just a bit closer now. Now, same loading, same ammunition, same shotgun. Now though at 50 meters, the same scenario, moving left to right, right to left. When the drone starts moving, we are going to take our shots. On you, King. Good. Oh, fuck it. The safety! I saw. Might need to lead it a little bit more. All right. Oh, bring it back, bring it back.
I am.
Okay.
It went down.
So it looks like we got a couple more hits, definitely on the body, some more spackling from some shot. That's for sure. It looks like we might have some here on the rotor bodies. Looks like we got one here, some more scuffs on the rotors themselves, and we have a rotor here that has been damaged. So we started to lose control of the drone and it ended up going down. I'm guessing the shot, enough pellets hit here and damaged the rotor, and then when it fell, it snapped completely off. So we're gonna see if we can get this airborne again. If not, the plan is I'll have to go get some more batteries for our other drone and get that one up. So we'll try it again though. We'll see if this one still flies.
Smash it in the ground. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. All right, well, we killed one drone. That's for sure.
You know what you're doing?
No.
Pray to the machine god.
Yeah.
Oh, it worked. Somebody may or may not have forgotten to hit the record button, but as it dove in, I'd say it was probably about 10, 15 meters from me when we really knocked it out of the air with that target load. And as you can see, it is peppered with rounds. These two rotors are completely trashed. I mean, they're basically seized up at this point. It has shot rattling around inside of it. And yeah, that definitely, as it approaches, especially on a semi-linear path, it becomes a lot easier to hit. So this guy is totally not flying anymore. Holy moly, we're blazing through it.
We're fucking cruising right along.
Yeah. The counter drone specialist, or the counter UAS specialist, is a specialty role that is designated or assigned when there is a moderate to high level threat of a UAS, drone, or FPV kamikaze style attacks upon a maneuver element that the commander or the leader of the formation will determine if it is necessary to dedicate the personnel to the task of combating drones. Moving to what everybody wants to talk about and hear about is the weapon system of choice. So the 12 gauge shotgun is what I would recommend for the counter drone specialist for a number of reasons. 12 gauge ammunition is going to be the most common. It strikes a good balance between effectiveness as well as the ability to acquire ammo, the recoil impulse of 12 gauge, and the overall size, weight, and package of the weapon system. The chosen one that I have put together for this role is the Mossberg JM940 Pro. This is a semi-automatic 9+1 12 gauge shotgun with a 24-inch barrel. So why did I choose the 940 JM Pro for the counter drone loadout? Well, it was a weapon system that met all of the desires and the needs that I had for a shotgun that would be the most effective while still being man-portable and unintrusive to the rest of my teammates and myself. Of course, this can fire 2 3/4 inch shells or 3-inch magnums. 3-inch magnums are important because they have more power, more range, and can hold more pellets, which is especially important when you are shooting a drone at further distances. I'd rather be able to hit the drone further away from me and my element than wait for it to get closer and have lighter ammunition. Some of the key aspects here are going to be the barrel length. So a 24-inch barrel is what I have on this shotgun and what comes stock on the JM Pro. It's also topped with a fiber optic front sight here that's very easy to acquire and really does collect light and shine brightly in low light conditions. So having a red dot versus an iron sight on a shotgun, both are completely valid. The pump action versus semi-auto, completely valid. Same with the red dot versus no red dot. I am adding some complexity here, some additional points of failure. This is the Holosun SCR-S red dot. I wanted to try this because it does have a 22mm objective lens, very few external moving parts, and it has the 65 or 60 MOA circle reticle with no dot in the middle, which I wanted to see if that was effective against drones with the 22mm tube that is inside this very small, compact, light red dot. Spoiler alert, it does work very well. Having, though, just a high visibility or a normal front bead, also completely acceptable, very usable, and in all honesty, gives you a little more situational awareness when you are tracking the drone. You don't have the body of the optic that you have to look through. That does disappear to a degree when you're focused on the target, but that gives you the most situational awareness and the biggest unobscured target view of the target as it moves, and is completely valid, and I think might be ideal for most situations when using a shotgun in this manner, as well as the ability to accept chokes. So the 24-inch barrel was picked because it's a good balance between weight, maneuverability, portability, while also still giving me great velocity and tightening my group for when I am firing at a drone or engaging in direct combat or direct shooting against enemy forces with a maneuver element in the event I have to do that. I also went with a modified choke. The choke is important because that is what's going to keep your spread tighter as the shot travels away from the shooter after you fired it. Most shotguns, the barrel has a cylinder bore that will not constrict the shot at all and give you a very wide shot pattern. Having a choke brings that in, it tightens it as it travels out of the barrel, giving you a larger and longer effective distance. The 3 most common types of chokes are going to be your cylinder bore or your improved cylinder. That's a very light choke. It just has a small amount of increased pattern tightness. The modified choke, which is what this is equipped with, that gives you a moderate level of tightness to the pattern. It constricts it a bit more. And then a full choke, which would be the most restrictive, that would tighten your pattern the most of the 3 most common choke patterns. It's up to you on how you want to run your shotgun for the counter drone specialist. Having a more open cylinder, having a lighter choke will increase your hit probability when the drone is closer. It opens up your pattern, which gives you more margin of error, but it also means that you will be as your pattern opens, it means you may be getting less hits on the drone itself. And it would also reduce your overall effective range. So I think the modified choke is a really good option, a sort of best of both worlds. But after doing the testing that I have either already shown or you will see shortly, I would go with more choke rather than less. If you have the option between a modified and a full, I would go with the full choke. If you have the choice between an improved cylinder and a modified, I'd go with a modified. Absolutely, more choke is going to be better, as it will allow you to be a more skilled shooter and more effective at hitting a range or hitting a drone when it's further out. I chose this shotgun again because of those features we just listed. The aftermarket support is very good for this shotgun. It is in black multicam, which was important to me because I wanted this shotgun to be as unintrusive as possible and to keep me concealed. I don't want a shotgun or a weapon system with a lot of shiny parts on it that will reduce my unit and my ability to remain concealed and undetected by drones. And even then, still, I have a little bit of a shiny brass band on the choke there, which I might clean up with some duct tape or just by spray painting it. But concealment was very important to me as well. There's a big debate over semi-auto versus a pump shotgun. And ultimately, neither answer is wrong. A pump shotgun is going to be more reliable. However, it is going to be harder to use and more difficult to get follow-up shots, take more time to master and get skillful with. While a semi-auto is a lot easier to use and a lot faster to learn on, and why I chose the semi-auto. I just feel far more confident with a semi-auto over a pump, especially when follow-up shots are often required to down a drone effectively, especially at further ranges. The semi-auto was the choice I made. As long as you maintain these systems, lubricate them properly, and use quality ammo, they will run very well. The ammunition of choice is very important. There's a wide range of ammunition that's available for shotguns that do different things well. The three most common types are going to be birdshot, buckshot, and slug. We won't go insanely in depth into what each of these do and each specific type of shot, but I will talk about how I am carrying the ammunition, as well as what ammunition I would recommend carrying or what I would use for drone defense, as well as use on anti-personnel. So the two types of ammunition I would recommend carrying and that I carry on my kit when I'm doing the counter-drone specialist role is a birdshot, which is for the drones themselves, and buckshot, which is anti-personnel. Specifically, there's many different types of loads and many different types of ammunition and lengths. The important thing for me is I want a shot for birdshot that is going to be effective on drones at distances that I would be shooting at them. So things like turkey shot, things like BB ammunition are going to be my go-to for the drones. Right now in my pouch for the drones, I have 2 3/4 inch number 6 steel shot. That would be another good round for the use on drones. You want something that strikes a good balance between a populated shot pattern, which will guarantee good positive hits, but also something that has enough has enough weight behind it, pellets that are large enough to carry their energy and have actual impact on the drone. So if you're going to be going with lead shot, I would definitely go with something larger, as it's a softer ammunition. So for lead shot, if you can find it, number 6 and above. If you're doing something like a steel shot, number 6, number 4. And if you have crazy money, you can go for tungsten ammunition. That you can get a bit smaller. You could definitely be down in the more number 6 shot, maybe number 7. But I would definitely recommend somewhere around the 4 to 6 shot, as it will carry its energy as it goes further down range, as well as be a good material that will have positive effects and a well-populated shot pattern for hitting the drone. BB, TB ammunition, those are the much larger bird shots. Those would also be a very good option for drones themselves, and would also definitely be something that I would not want to get shot at by if I were the enemy. That's a lot of pellets. They're pretty large pellets, and they generally hold a pretty tight pattern and hold a lot of ballistic punch and terminal ballistics at extended ranges, which is great for drones and personnel. Personally, right now, I was able to find some of that number 6 steel shot in 2 3/4 inch, and that's what I currently have for the drones. For how much ammunition you're going to carry, it's going to be mission dependent on what you can carry. I would recommend having around 50 rounds of fighting load, so that would be your buckshot, and then around the same amount for your birdshot. for the shotgun. That's 5 tubes of each, and that gives you a lot of capability and the ability to sustain for a long period of time, as well as it can still be carried very easily on your person. But the way I'm carrying my ammunition is in canteen pouches. They are great for carrying buckshot or just shotgun rounds in general. They are good for load bearing. They bear the weight well, and you can store them with the flap down, as you see here, which allows you to not have the shells showing. That was something that was very important to me going back to the integration piece. I want to ensure that what I am doing as the counter drone specialist is not compromising or hindering my team in any way. Shotgun shells are very often red, blue, or a bright color, and having them exposed on your body or exposed on the shotgun it can compromise your position. It reduces your concealability, and that is why I did not put any shotgun shells to be carried on the shotgun itself. This holds 9+1. The 10 rounds is a lot of 12 gauge to be carrying on you and readily available, ready to go in a moment's notice. And putting a shot card here or a carrier on the buttstock, well, now you are adding more weight to this already pretty heavy and long weapon system, but you are also now adding bright colors to your kit, which we don't want. We don't want to compromise our concealment for our weapon system. That is not what we want to do. That is why I've opted to carry them in canteen pouches. They will completely cover the shells and make it so they are not shown. I don't have a strip of red or blue or other colors on my body while I am operating as the counter drone specialist. Then when time comes, if I need to, I can open this up here and draw from my ammunition and do my reloads as needed. And I can also pinch my hands in here and keep this closed and draw ammunition out. And I can adjust on the fly too. As I get more or less ammunition, I can tighten these bands down. The canteen pouch is a really good option for carrying shotgun ammunition. So in the front here, I have my birdshot. On the side here, I have my double-aught buck. This is my anti-personnel pouch. Don't mix them together. I want to keep them separate. That way I'm not accidentally grabbing them, grabbing the wrong ammunition for the wrong threat level. So I keep them separate, of course, and I have the buckshot on the left and the birdshot right in the front. It's very important to make sure you're not unintentionally drawing the wrong ammunition for whatever you are shooting at. But having the buckshot is not used for drones. It certainly could be if that's all you had, but the buckshot is used in the event that your element is taking direct fire or you need to be shooting at, conducting anti-personnel operations, shooting at bad guys in Minecraft. That is what you have the buckshot for. That is so you can still engage targets that are of the two-legged variety, that are threats to you and your element, and you are not a man who is incapable of doing that. Buckshot out of a shotgun like this with a modified choke is you still get effective rounds and hits on targets well out to 100 meters, and you would still be getting good effective hits out to 200 meters on an area target. So this shotgun actually, or a shotgun in general, loaded with 3-inch 15 pellet buckshot would be a very effective suppressing weapon system for your element, kind of a secondary option you have. I think that this would be great for a stationary support by fire to protect that element from drones, or to assist, if the mission deems it, assist in the suppression of the enemy with that buckshot ammunition out to about 200 meters, maybe even further. You're lobbing a lot of ammunition with each trigger pull, and it does carry its weight and carries good ballistic performance out to those extended ranges. The buckshot is a must-have for the counter-drone specialist to still be able to engage in direct conflict with enemy personnel. To reiterate, the buckshot carries about a 100-meter point target effective range and around a 200-meter area target or effective range, which is quite capable for a 12-gauge shotgun and really puts you in a good position considering most conflict and engagements happen between 0 to 300 meters. You're covering 2/3 of that, and your main role anyway is to shoot at drones, because a lot of the time when there is direct combat that is happening, drones are either utilized as ISR or are going to be used to deliver munitions upon you. Talking about the kit real quick, I will. This is how I have this rig set up to support my shotgun and the mission of the counter drone specialist. It is simply a tan or FDE Flick, fighting load carrier. I chose this because I can throw this over body armor, I can run it slick, and it gives me a lot of options to carry a lot of stuff. So of course on the left side, I have my 2 canteen pouches that are full of my ammunition, 1 buckshot, 1 drone shot, we'll call it. These side pouches are also good for specialty ammo. If you needed something like flares or slugs for some reason, don't shoot slugs out of a choke shotgun, you can put them in these side pockets right here in the event that you need that, or breaching rounds, something like that. The canteen pouch is just really well set up for carrying 12 gauge ammunition. All the way over, tucked away, just not really an afterthought, but something that I just have here as a placeholder, is my radio pouch. It is a single M4 pouch. Just always got to make sure I can establish comms with people. Moving over to the right side now, this is more of my sustainment side. So I have a 2 magazine M4 style pouch. It's multicam. And this is just like an admin pouch for me. I can store more water, more ammunition, mission essential equipment, grenades of some sort, whatever it might be. This is just an administrative space here. Moving further to the right, I have my IFAK. So this is a USGI IFAK in an older school pouch with my single tourniquet here. Got to make sure that I'm carrying medical equipment, as well as my water, my 1-quart canteen. Very important to always have water on you. This is just a really simple way to carry this kit, to set it up and have an effective load-bearing setup for the counter-drone specialist. And just a way of doing it that meets my needs of sustainment, firepower, and concealability, and the detailed integration into my team without compromising them or causing some sort of additional friction point aside from the slightly limited range of the 12 gauge shotgun. We've gone a bit back and forth between talking about kit, talking about the integration piece. We just kind of got done with the kit section, so let's talk about what is the job of the counter-drone specialist. How do you properly integrate into a team, rather that be a 1 to 2 man team, 4-man team, all the way up to something like a platoon or a company size element. When you're integrating as the counter-drone specialist, your full-time job is going to be counter-drone operations. It is going to be detecting and disabling or damaging, destroying drones that are a threat to your element based on your commander or leader's intent. It's important that you integrate in a manner that, or you be integrated in a manner that is the least intrusive to the element and is the easiest for them to work with you, and you don't cause additional friction points. That's why concealment was very important for me. That's why the ability to still engage in direct combat with this shotgun or with an additional weapon system, maybe a lighter, smaller rifle that uses the same ammunition or magazine as your friendly element. That decision will be up to you on if you are willing to swap to that in the event that you're engaged in close combat. But the important things are to not cause additional friction points and to be the definitive drone defense specialist and expert, and always have your eyes on the sky, scanning and being ready to engage drones. I would recommend you probably either stay in the middle or towards the back of your element to have the widest range of coverage for your friendly forces. So when is it appropriate to set up and to integrate the drone defense specialist into your kit and into your team? That's going to depend on your threat level, what your mission is, and how likely it is for you to encounter drones. This is something that you yourself or your leaders will discuss and will determine, but this is not an always thing. This is a specialized tool, a specialized kit, and a specialized person for when the threat criteria are met and you feel comfortable with having somebody who has a reduced direct fighting capability and a reduced anti-personnel capacity for a vastly increased drone defeating capability. Some additional things that the drone defense specialist could be engaged in, or some things that you get secondarily from having somebody with a shotgun who is primarily focused on drones, would be the fact that, well, they have a shotgun. They have a wide range of ammunition they can use depending on the mission. Things like flares, breaching rounds, all those sorts of more unique shotgun ammunition may be very useful for your mission. This person can also be in charge of the electronic systems that you have for the drone defense, the early detection systems or the electronic warfare systems. This person could be the one who is in charge of monitoring and maintaining those things. You want to be cautious about putting all of your eggs in one basket, if you will, but if you're going to dedicate this personnel to ensuring that drones are not a threat to the element, then also having them co-located with the detection or the electronic warfare systems may be a good option. So Kings, if you made it this far in the video, I want to say thank you. And I genuinely, as always, hope that you learned something and that if anything, this was at least entertaining and got you thinking about what are some ways that we can combat drones that are very often and commonly seen in modern conflicts. I think I was able to make a pretty strong case for the implementation of a 12-gauge shotgun in the role of counter-drone specialist. I really didn't know what to expect going into this video. You know, you see footage from Ukraine and other conflicts in which the service members and guys they're using shotguns very similar to this to defend themselves from drones, shoot them, you know, they'll blow up in the air or crash. And that's a little bit of survivor bias. You know, you're probably not seeing the videos where the shotgun's ineffective, but it seems like, from what I'm hearing from reports, that they are more effective more often than not. And from the live shooting that we did, which was a ton of fun, it really did not go quite as well as we had hoped, but from the shooting, I was able to really confidently say that even from 75 meters away with just a pretty standard 24-inch modified choke shotgun with 2 3/4-inch target loads, I mean, we were getting consistent 1 to 3 pellet hits with each round engaged. Now, the drones weren't moving insanely fast, right? I mean, they're going maybe 25, 30, 45 miles an hour tops. That's not all that much faster than like a clay is when it's thrown out of the trap house of a shooting range when you go shoot like clays or skeet. But again, these drones, they can be going faster, but if they're loaded down with ordnance, they're usually not going their top speed. So I think that was a pretty good example of what it's like to be boots on the ground trying to engage a drone and defend yourself or your unit from some sort of, you know, offensive capable drone. And we're able to really show that even somebody with a moderate amount of skill can get good hits on a drone, and with the right loadings, you know, like we talked about, that number 4, number 6 BB type ammunition, something that is not just a really soft target lead, that this would be very effective against you know, class 1 and class 2, or group 1 and group 2, potentially select group 3 drones that would be carrying ordnance or looking to, you know, gather information on your location, maybe even dropping munitions. Again, thank you guys for watching. I really hope it was a good video. I hope it was informative. I hope it was semi-educational. Hopefully it gets the gears turning for guys. Maybe we'll see the more wide-scale adoption of the 12-gauge shotgun by way of, or in the role of, anti-drone use. Yeah, the Marine Corps is currently already doing that, and I know I've seen footage of the counter-UAS courses that the military is trying to stand up using the Benelli M4 specifically, which is a semi-auto shotgun similar to this, to practice shooting down drones. So hopefully that this was an interesting and educational watch. If you guys like this type of content, you know, subscribe for more. We're gonna have more videos coming out. I have a few more planned before I deploy, and if this is the type of content you'd like to see, man, stick around. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Guys who have experience, you know, shooting shotguns, what are your thoughts on being able to hit a drone with something like this, with a setup like this? I'm very curious and always enjoy looking through the comments to hear what guys have to say about the topic. We have a Discord too. If you guys want to be a part of the community, chat with me or other people who are like-minded in the gun space. We do have a Discord. The link is in the description and in the channel description as well, the bio area. Completely unnecessary to do so, but if you want to help support videos like this, I mean, this was a very large project and took a lot of time, effort, persuading of people, and of course money. I have Patreon and Subscribestar set up too. Both can be found in the description or in the bio of the YouTube channel. Again, of course, guys, completely unnecessary, but helps a ton and is overwhelmingly appreciated, guys. So once again, it was a pleasure making this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Keep your heads held high. Bones out. T-Rex Arms video where they're like, I'll do it in post.
We'll fix it in fucking
Yeah.
post.
Dark, and you try to light.
Michael, I'm gonna beat you with a hammer if you keep talking. I love you. I love you, but you need to just find the drum, please. Okay, sorry. We gotta lock in,
Anyway,
chat. All right.
Lock in.
Lock the fuck in. What? How did you know that? We'll have plenty of bloopers.